you've seen your open rates slowly dropping over time, watch this video. I'm gonna show you step by step how to get out of the spam folder as quickly as possible. We've analyzed over 100 different Klaviyo accounts in the past year, and we found a pretty shocking statistic. 70% of e-commerce brands have almost half of their emails landing in the spam folder. That's thousands of dollars in potential revenue evaporating every single time you hit send. But here's the crazy part. We've taken countless dead email lists with 10 to 20% open rates and brought them up to over 50 to 60% open rates in less than 2 weeks. In one case, we added an additional $45,000 to a brand's monthly revenue simply by fixing their deliverability issues. And you can also get results like this by fixing these 3 simple deliverability issues that every brand gets wrong in 2025. I'm about to show you how we consistently average 57% open rates across all of our clients' accounts when the industry average is stuck at below 35%. These are the same fixes that helped us generate over $10 million in revenue for our clients. So let's dive in and get your emails back in the inbox where they belong. All right, so first off, how do you even know if you have a deliverability issue in the first place? So in 30 seconds, this is how you're gonna figure that out very, very quickly. So number one, the first thing you can do is go to your campaigns. You can look at your open rate, okay? That's kind of the best, quickest way to determine whether or not you have an actual problem here. So you'll notice you'll have your average open rate here at the top. What you can also do is go to home, go to click view dashboard here, and then you're gonna wanna scroll down all the way until you see deliverability. And right under deliverability, you're gonna see industry benchmarks, okay? Now here, this is the account in February before we actually came in, right? So you'll notice open rate, 24%. If you have anything less than, I would say 30, 35%, that probably means you have a pretty serious deliverability issue. You wanna be 50% plus, so that could be concerning there. Also wanna take a look at your bounce rate. If you have a high bounce rate, that could also mean that you don't have a pretty good relationship with inbox providers, okay? And your emails are just bouncing. So that's number one. I wanna highlight quickly this graph, right? So this is a deliverability graph. And you can see, this is where we started working with them, right? February 1st and onwards, 72% open rates here. Coming back from 18% before we started working with them, right? So this is how quickly your deliverability can change, right? It's not something that has to take, 4 or 5 months. You can do this in a couple weeks if you do everything properly, which I'm about to show you in this video. So that is very briefly how you determine, how you get a feel for if you have a deliverability issue. Let's get into how you can actually fix that. So it's very important to understand the reason you actually go into the spam folder. So email deliverability is like having a credit score for your sending domain, right? Every domain has this score that inbox providers assign to it, okay? So every time you send emails that people don't engage with, people don't open, that don't resonate with people, your score with these inbox providers goes down. And eventually when it drops too low, you're gonna end up in spam folders pretty much automatically, which if you're watching this video, is most likely what's happening to you, right? And so if your metrics are looking something like this, that is extremely concerning, and that's a surefire way of knowing you are landing in spam, right? 16% open rates are just incredibly low, okay? Even if your content was just incredibly misaligned, you'd still be getting more than 16% open rates, right? So that just shows that people just aren't seeing the email, right? It's going to spam folder. Some common causes for this, right? Low open rates. Again, if your content isn't resonating and people aren't opening it, that's gonna hurt your sender reputation. Inbox providers are gonna see that people aren't opening your emails, people don't care about your communication, they're gonna see you as less trustworthy and they're gonna start throwing you in the spam folder. Another one is blasting emails to cold or inactive lists, right? So you should pretty much never be sending emails to people who aren't engaged. That's the quickest way to just ruin your deliverability. You wanna know people are gonna open and engage with your emails, because if they don't, again, inbox providers are gonna see that and be like, what is this person sending, right? They're obviously not trustworthy. They throw you in spam. And the last one, just not sending emails for very long periods of time. I'm gonna talk about this later and show you examples. You have to stay consistent with your campaigns. If you, for example, just go on a hiatus for a month and you try to come back, most likely your open rates are gonna take a hit, and a lot of people aren't gonna really, resonate with that content. And inbox providers are gonna see that, and it's not gonna be good, right? So the common theme here, you wanna keep inbox providers happy. That's the goal here. So those are some common causes. Let's get into step-by-step what to do. All right, so number one, I wanted to start here because it's pretty much the most broad, basic way of fixing deliverability. So you have to stop sending boring emails, okay? And what I mean by that, I'm sure you're like, what is he talking about? If you have low open rates in your account, right? It obviously means your content is just not aligning with your audience. It's not resonating, okay? And again, inbox providers will see that and they're not gonna like you for that. And they're gonna throw you in the spam folder. You have to understand, The average consumer nowadays is very stimulated. They're overstimulated because of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, right? All these different social media platforms, they're constantly being stimulated with different outlets, okay? And so your emails need to also carry that over and be stimulating. Otherwise, they're just not gonna care, right? If you're sending generic kind of like templated emails with a whole bunch of text, people just aren't gonna care. If you're sending the same email over and over again, for example, people are gonna stop opening them. They already know what to expect. They're not being stimulated anymore. And inbox providers are gonna see that and punish you. So some rule of thumbs here. Never resend the exact same creative twice, okay? I see a lot of brands doing this. They get lazy. They're running a promotion or something that lasts like a week and a half, and they just send the same promotion email over and over and over again. And again, that is how you fatigue your list. That's how you desensitize your list to your emails, and they're gonna stop opening them, and that's how you get in trouble with inbox providers, okay? Don't only send promotional emails. So you should be having a mix of value and also promotion in your actual content. You don't wanna only spam promotions. Then that way, again, people are just gonna stop caring. They're gonna get desensitized. Always keep things fresh and stimulating. Try not to use the same templates over and over again. Ideally, I know this might not be the best in terms of like time for a lot of people watching this video. But like for example, what we do, every design is completely fresh, right? We don't reuse any designs. Every design is remade. Basically from scratch, right? We don't use templates. That's the best way to kind of keep things stimulating and engaging. If you don't have the time to do that, that's fine. Just try to at least keep things different, right? Don't use the same template over and over and over again. And also use intriguing subject lines. This one's pretty simple, but make your subject line click-worthy, right? Make people intrigued by it, make them want to click on the email, because that can also help in influencing open rates as well. All right, so step number 2, sending to tight segments. So this is actually like the best way to get out of the spam folder. This is the action plan right here that we're gonna do. So in order to work your way out of the spam folder, you need to send campaigns only to extremely engaged profiles on your list, right? People that you know for a fact are gonna open your emails, okay? Over time, you're gonna open the segment up wider and wider as open rates increase. Now, the goal here is to hit 50% open rates on the campaigns being sent to these segments. Now, you should never be sending emails to your entire list. I think I mentioned that. That's the best way to kind of crush your deliverability. You wanna have an engaged segment of profiles that you send emails to, that you send campaigns to. Now, this right here is an example of what I mean by sending to tight segments. In about 10 seconds here, I'm gonna show you the segments that you wanna set up. But you'll notice, this is what they were doing before. This is a small account here, but still, they were sending to 2,866 people. Well, that's how many people opened it, but they were sending to, a lot more people as opposed to here. Their open rates were 16%. We came in, okay, and the first step for us, we created an ultra tight segment of profiles who we knew for a fact were gonna open their emails, right? They were engaging in the past, they were opening emails in the past, and so we sent emails to these people. As you can see, the pool of recipients is a lot smaller, but the open rate and the click rate were through the roof. Okay, and basically the goal here, we're just getting reps in. We're just showing these inbox providers, hey, look, we're getting high open rates, we're trustworthy, and we're just building that relationship with them over time. So you're gonna start off with very small segments. So don't get alarmed when you see that, it's normal, right? I mean, look how many people, we sent to like 500 people here. And over time, you're gonna open it up. Now we're sending to, upwards of 10, 15,000 people, and we're getting above 50% open rates. But this is how it starts, okay? So these are the actual segments that you're gonna wanna create, okay? Now, rule of thumb here, send at least 2 campaigns to each segment listed below and kind of see how open rates respond. You wanna be above 50% open rates is the goal, okay? Now, again, these segments are basically just guidelines on kind of like where to start. The main idea here, start really, really tight. Start with a group of people who, is very small, who is gonna open those emails, and work your way up as quickly as possible while maintaining 50%, okay? Now, first segment, 14-day engaged profiles. So these are pretty much the most engaged people on your list. We wanna make sure we're sending to them first. So the actual settings for the segment, as you can see here, they can receive email marketing, obviously just means that they're eligible to receive our emails. They open an email at least once in the last 14 days. So basically we've shown that they engaged at some point in the last 14 days and they were active on site in the last 90 days, okay? So this is gonna give you a segment of people that is most likely very, very small. It's not gonna be a huge segment of people, but for a fact, these people are going to give you a high open rate, okay? And again, you're getting those reps in with inbox providers. So send to this segment first and see how it works, see what those open rates are looking like. I would recommend sending at least twice to them, 2 different campaigns. And then from there, you're gonna move on to a 30-day engaged segment, okay? So pretty much the same thing, except now they've opened an email at least once in the last 30 days and they were active on site in the last 120 days, okay? So you're gonna, again, send to these profiles, see how open rates look. Are they high? Do they go back down? If they went back down, maybe close that segment up a little bit and send again to that 14-day. But if they were good, maybe send one more time and then move on, okay? So the overall theme here is you're starting small, you're opening up a little bit more, then a little bit more, then a little bit more, right? And you're just kind of working your way out of the spam folder, if that makes sense, okay? So that's 30-day engaged. Then we're gonna move on to 60 or 90-day openers. It just depends on how your open rates looked before. Sometimes we'll just jump to 90 if we're getting like 70% open rates on, you know, the 30-day segment. But again, go at your own pace and kind of see what's working for you guys. So again, can receive email marketing. This one's pretty simple. Opened email at least once in the last 60, or if you're doing the 90-day segment, 90 days, okay? And this is how you set that segment up here. Lastly, we're gonna move on to 120-day openers. Now, this is pretty much, depending on your list, the list of profiles I like to send to for a lot of our campaigns. Sometimes we'll do 180. It really just depends on the account. But this is gonna be a decent amount of profiles. And over time, you can get this segment to be pretty big actually and pretty fruitful. So again, pretty straightforward. Opened email at least once in the last 120 days, okay? And this is how you set that up here. So that is, you know, very quickly what you're gonna do, okay? It's pretty straightforward. You just have to kind of like stay on top of things and analyze, okay, how are my open rates actually responding? And so if you've made it to the 120-day opener segment, your open rate should be looking a lot healthier. So experiment with opening it up even more. You can go as wide as possible as long as your open rates are above 50%. So don't think this is like a cap, right? You can go to people who open an email in the last year. If you're still seeing above 50% open rates, go for it, right? Every account is different. But this is kind of like a good little roadmap on what to do if your emails are like just way in the spam folder. I'm talking like 15% open rates, like that account I showed you before, okay? So start really, really small. If this segment of profiles still doesn't give you a super high open rate, just go smaller, right? Go as small as you need to get that open rate above 50%, okay? And then just work your way out from there. All right, so step number 3, stay consistent. Now, the tips I shared before about the segments, that's all fine and dandy, that's all great. But if you're not gonna be staying consistent after you get out of the spam folder, you're really just doing it for no reason and you're gonna end up back in the place where you started. So inbox providers love seeing consistency, okay? Don't have, you know, very long pauses or like breaks in between your campaigns. Create a schedule and stick to that schedule. I recommend anywhere from 2 to 3 campaigns per week, but bare minimum, you should be sending at least 1 per week. So if you're short on time, short on bandwidth, at least 1 per week, okay? And stick to that schedule. Now, this is a kind of screenshot I took from one of my clients' accounts before we started working with them. You'll notice June 23, June 28, they had decent open rates, right? Not anything concerning, not phenomenal, but you know, decent, right? Pretty average, I would say. And so they were doing fine. And as you can see, they took pretty much a month-long hiatus here. So June 28th to July 29th, over a month between sending emails. And as you can see, their open rates just significantly like fell off a cliff after they took a month-long break. And then as you can see, they kind of just never recovered from there. They also were just not consistent after that. Again, that is a surefire way to just tank deliverability. You want to be staying consistent and build that long-term reputation with inbox providers. All right, now for some bonus tips on how to actually stay in the deliverability zone, okay? So number 1, not a lot of people know about this, right? Use staggered send time for your campaigns. Now what I mean by that is don't just send a campaign out all at once. You wanna stagger those sends out into maybe 3 or 4 blocks, sending like smaller segments of people at a time. That basically spreads out your sends across several different hours. So you're not spamming and blasting out 40,000 emails in the same, 30-minute time frame. So let me show you how you can do that. So I have this kind of like mock campaign here that I just drew up for example purposes just to show you how to do a staggered send. Now you're gonna go to the scheduling page where you would normally just schedule the time you want it to be sent. Now instead of the type being fixed send time, you're gonna do gradual send over several hours, okay? Now you're gonna choose your time, the time you want the first batch to be sent, okay? So let's call it 1 p.m. Now here, percent of recipients per hour. So you can make this whatever you want. So if you make it 50%, for example, it's gonna send 50% of the emails at 1 p.m., it's gonna send the other half at 2 p.m., right? I like to do it kind of by 20% increments. That way, only 20% of the actual list is being sent at a time, and it makes those sends a lot smaller. So it's gonna have a higher chance of being good in terms of deliverability. So definitely try that out. Obviously you just schedule it from there and you're good to go. So tip number 2, clean your list regularly. Now this is one that I honestly wish a lot more people would actually do. Whenever I do an audit on an account, I see so many profiles that are just inactive that could be suppressed that are just dragging down their Klaviyo bill. You only really need active profiles in your Klaviyo account. If you have profiles who are just dead, who haven't opened any emails in like years, who haven't been on the site, they haven't clicked, they haven't purchased a product, right? They're just like taking up dead weight. You can actually move those to the suppressed portion of your account and you won't actually be charged for them. So that's one that's pretty simple, but just make sure you're staying on top of it, because knowing which profiles in your account are actually active and which are suppressed is gonna help you also just be more on top of your deliverability. So another really cool trick that you can do that not a lot of people know about, or at least I haven't seen a lot of brands doing, is using text in your actual email footers, okay? So if you're using primarily like really graphic heavy emails, which is what we do a lot of the times, they look a lot more creative, they look a lot cooler. Those are great, but inbox providers, they don't necessarily love when an email is like all graphics. They do like seeing some text in there. So what you can do here is copy and paste about 200 or so words, random words from the About Us section on your brand's website and put it in the footer of the email and then make it invisible, right? And I'm gonna show you how to do this. That way, inbox providers are seeing some text and it'll actually help with deliverability and it won't affect the user experience at all. So let me show you how to actually do that. All right, so I'm in this campaign here, just a random campaign, just for example purposes. Now, what you're gonna do here is you are going to go to text, you're gonna get a new block and you're gonna drag it into the footer of the email, just like that. Now, first things first, let's take the text from the website and let's go to the About Us and let's literally just copy like this random couple sentences here. And we're gonna put it into the actual block, just like that, okay? Now what we're gonna do here, take the text size, make it literally like 1. So make it super small. And then what you could even do here is like, yeah, make it all in one line like that. And now we're gonna make the background color, block background color, we want it to be black, just like that. So literally you cannot see the text, but inbox providers can. Okay, so there's technically still text in this email, but you would have no idea, right? It has no effect on user experience and it will actually help keep you out of the spam folder and keep a good reputation with these inbox providers. So definitely try that out. And then next is just sprinkle in a couple text-based emails every now and then. Those kind of touchy-feely, like for personal note from the founder type emails. First of all, people like seeing those every now and then. They do convert really well. But also, again, inbox providers like seeing text in emails. So it's good to kind of break things up every now and then and send an email like that. And lastly, just be careful what words you're actually putting in your subject lines, especially if you're somebody who like just got out of the spam folder, like you're fresh out, fresh out of the prison. You don't want to be saying things like buy one, get one in all caps, or like free. Don't really put free in your subject lines, because a lot of those phrases and words can trigger spam filters. So I would just, general rule of thumb, stay away from, different phrases that appear kind of spammy, right? So yeah, those are some cool tips you guys can try out. So there you have it. The exact system we use to fix Klaviyo email deliverability in as little as 14 days while maintaining open rates of above 50% plus. You've seen how we keep email designs fresh and exciting, implement smart warming and sending patterns, and create engagement strategies that actually keep you in the inbox. Now, you could implement all of this yourself, but deliverability is pretty time sensitive. Every day your emails land in spam folder is costing you thousands of dollars in revenue. In fact, we've actually found that most e-commerce brands leave about 20 to 30% of their total revenue on the table just because of poor deliverability. That's exactly why we offer our Klaviyo email optimization service. We'll immediately analyze your account, implement our proven deliverability system, and get your emails back in the inbox where they actually belong, in front of your customers. Click the first link in the description to book a free audit with me. I'll analyze your current setup and tell you exactly how much revenue you're leaving on the table, as well as how we can get your emails back in the inbox. Or click this video here to learn about the essential flows every e-commerce brand needs once your deliverability is actually fixed and in a good spot. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.